Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Sister Station podcast with your host, me, Mu'mina Koleosho, a Nigerian Yoruba Muslim multi award winning writer, poet, journalist, content creator, and youth advocate based in Scotland who uses storytelling to amplify the voices of Black and Muslim women. And for today's episode, I'll just be on my own this episode. The way I say it sounds I really changed the tone. Let me try and kick back into excitement and I don't know. I think I was trying to go for like mellow and chill vibes, and I think I just kind of turned the temperature down by accident. Or it could just be me. Maybe that was my own perception in terms of the change in my tone of voice. I'll probably cut this out, to be honest, because we're not even a minute in and I've already gone on a bit of a tangent. But essentially, today it's going to be a little solo episode. It's going to be, I don't even know what to really call it, like a kind of bonus one off. I might just link it onto the tail end of season 2, because essentially I'm not properly kickstarting season 3 yet. This is just like a little warmer, a little in between. And because I have been on a bit of a hiatus working on the next season, amongst other things. And I think before I kind of get into the main the main meat or the main topic of today's episode, which I just wanted to share like a few points of reflection so that hopefully it can be of benefit to everyone listening, inshallah. Yeah, that's kind of like the main goal of today's episode. But before I go into that, I think it's worth just sort of going over a little bit as to why the silence, why the break, why the gap. And honestly, there are so many things. If I went into the whole story of why I haven't released any episodes for a little bit, we'll be here for a while, and I don't want to bore everyone, but just a couple of things, just not being well for a bit, and also having a lot of other projects that I've been working on as well, and then just finding the time to schedule in guests and interview them, and then also with Ramadan starting, wanting to still find a way to focus on that, whilst also focus on increasing my acts of worship, whilst also getting work done and meeting like other responsibilities. And so, as they say, it's really just been one thing after another. But yeah, inshallah, I'm hoping that I can get back into the swing of things and also, yeah, share more podcast episodes, because I know, I mean, from what people have told me, the next episodes are somewhat highly anticipated. So yeah, inshallah, I hope that I not only meet everyone's expectations but exceed them. I pray that I am able to continue to share things that will be of benefit to everyone, both in this life and in the next. So to sort of kickstart things, or maybe, I don't know, redirect a little bit, because I realized I've already talked for a little bit. How we usually start with some sort of name explanation. I've already introduced myself. I've already introduced the podcast Sister Station, and talked about the name for the podcast. So this time I was like, oh, I don't even know what name I'll use, but I will use the current working title of the podcast episode. I might change it when I actually release it, but for the most part, right now the episode is titled Refresh and Reflect. You know me, I love some alliteration. So the refresh being me refreshing the podcast, but both literally, but also, inshallah, renewing my intentions of why I wanted to start the podcast, why I want to continue the podcast, that it's really important in order for me to very much not lose sight of the vision, and to, make sure I stay on track in that sort of way, that yeah, like the importance of renewing intentions as I'm starting projects, as I'm continuing with them. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of do that. And I think that was another reason why I stepped away for a bit, because I was still trying to come to terms with like how to best keep going about doing this podcast. I don't want to just put out episodes for the sake of it. Like I felt a bit of pressure, especially with Ramadan, that I was like, oh, to do like a Ramadan special and stuff. And I didn't want to just do that from a place of ticking a box. I wanted to make sure that it's authentic and that I'm not just doing it for the sake of it, but I'm moving and doing things intentionally, if that makes sense. I also didn't want to feel pressured to follow a rigid structure and not like think more deeply about what's the purpose of my podcast as a whole, but also this particular individual episode, especially with the fact that most likely I'll be releasing this during Ramadan still, and even hopefully as people listen to it after Ramadan and beyond, that they can still take something that will be of benefit to them, inshallah. Just refreshing. So that's the refreshing side of things. Renewing my intentions, bringing the podcast back a little bit, and yeah, taking things from there. And then in terms of the reflecting aspect is really just thinking about things that have happened to me recently and sort of what I've learned from those experiences. So I guess a little bit of a story time, as it were. So yeah, I'm going to jump into the reflection side of things. With that said, I've got 3 reflections to share. Once I get to the third one, I also have a cause that I'm fundraising for that I'll talk a bit about, inshallah. So the first reflection is about habits, and I think I shared a short video about this maybe on my story on Instagram a little while ago, and it was essentially, and this was a reminder to myself first and foremost, that if you can make a habit, you can also break it. And this essentially just came out of a musing that I had the other day about how every habit that I formed and any of us have formed over the years, we weren't born with them. Like you learn them, you pick them up, and that's good or bad. And this can be in the most general sense and can apply in so many cases, but I think especially with Ramadan, a lot of us spending this time not only trying to form lots of good habits and getting into a routine of reading more Quran and praying more and increasing in charity and all of these good deeds, but at the same time a lot of us are really trying to cut out our bad habits, our anything that we find ourselves falling into that we feel we're falling short on and want to improve. But I know personally sometimes it can feel frustrating if there is something that we've been struggling with for a while, and sometimes it can feel like, oh, will I ever get over this thing? Will I ever be able to improve in that way? And I realized that as it might not seem possible right now, but thinking in the long term, thinking eventually that just the same way there was a time that I didn't have this habit and I didn't struggle with this thing, just the same way that I formed this, I can unform it. Just the same way I made this habit, I can break it. Like that is possible, and just trying to have faith and not to give up and to keep trying, and to not only like strive in our actions to better ourselves, but also to pray about it and ask for Allah to give us the strength, the ability, the yeah, the strength, the ability, the mindset, everything that's needed to change and become better versions of ourselves and to improve, and that anything is possible for us in that sort of way. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And the second point was about laundry. And I know that's going to sound quite random, but the story goes as such that so our washing machine wasn't working for a few weeks. So it broke, and then it took a while for us to get it repaired. And in that time, there were just a lot of sort of extra logistics that I had to figure out in terms of getting my laundry done. And so between taking the clothes to the laundromat and washing stuff by hand, there were just more logistics to consider beyond just a simple, oh, I need to do my laundry, put the clothes in the washing machine, put some soap, and come back in an hour or two, and then voila, and all I have to do is put the clothes on the line. So I was having to like think ahead quite a bit more, and that was just making a more simple task more complicated. And I remember the key thing is that when our washing machine was fixed, the level of happiness, like the way I literally said to my folks, I was like, I've never been so happy to do laundry in my life. I can't remember if those were the exact words I used, but I said something along those sentiments. Like, I was so happy when the when the washing machine was fixed. I was so happy just to simply do my laundry. And this kind of situation just made me think that I was like, something that I would complain about before, that I would be like, I have to do like how it is with most household chores, that I need to go wash the plates again. It's time to hoover again. More laundry, more this, more that, right? But here I was happy. I was grateful just to do my laundry, and it really put things into perspective, essentially just how we take things for granted, like the ease of daily life, so many things. And this is just in terms of like having a washing machine, and or for example being able to take public transport to work or drive to places, or the ease in that regard. But like, even if I just think about the most, if I think about things like even just waking up each day, alive, well, it's just so many things that we take for granted, that I realize that, yeah, it's really important just not to forget that, to be mindful of it, and to reflect on that, and to recognize the gift and the blessing that is everything, just literally everything. It was just like a really poignant reminder for me, and I really wanted to just share that. Yeah, it really put things into perspective, that alhamdulillah for everything. Like, we literally cannot even begin to count any and all of our blessings, because there's just so many. There's literally too many. So yeah, alhamdulillah for everything. And yeah, the final point of reflection is just about community. And community can mean so many things, but I'm talking more specifically about just how instrumental it is and it can be when we support each other in whatever way we can. And I've just been thinking about ways that other people have really helped me super selflessly, whether it was just like sharing resources with me, or spending or taking time out of their day to explain something to me and help me in something. And also ways that alhamdulillah I've been in a position where I can also help and support other people as well. And I was just thinking about how not to underestimate how much like a little can go a long way, as they say. I have just been thinking about that more recently, and how essentially it's always good to be good, as they say, like never to underestimate how even something as small as smiling at somebody, making them laugh, even just holding a door open for someone. So I guess actually I said community, but even just, what is it they call it? I think random acts of kindness. Yeah, that sort of thing. All in the spirit of community, generosity, kindness. Yeah. I I didn't have this last reflection as planned out as the other first two, can you tell? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that with everyone, that yeah, these are just things that I've been thinking of recently. They've been on my mind. So all that to say that I hope my words resonated with you, and that you've enjoyed this episode so far. But before I bring it to a complete close, I just wanted to share that in the spirit of community support, helping each other out where we can, I wanted to share that I am fundraising for Muslim Youth Helpline, and this was inspired by two main reasons. So, one, stating the obvious a bit when I say mental health is such an important part of our general health and well being, but sadly, it's so often overlooked and misunderstood based on so many societal and cultural biases and ideas and misconceptions, etc. So I just also wanted to do my bit to raise awareness in that sense, and to really to really highlight how important mental health is. And inshallah, hopefully, it can just become a more widely understood aspect of our health and well-being, and something that we think about and are more conscious of generally, and not always it being left to just the point of when somebody is struggling or facing challenges that suddenly we remember that, oh, we have a mental health. So I wanted to raise awareness in that sense, and then also specifically supporting Muslim Youth Helpline, because they are able to deliver support specifically for Muslim youth. And growing up as a young Muslim in the West, in the UK, it can be not only quite difficult to find support for mental health generally, but also support that is culturally sensitive and religiously informed. And sadly, that is an additional barrier to seeking mental health support and accessing mental health services. I'm speaking about this generally, but that was also my experience, that when, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic and whilst I was in university, that was a period of my life where I particularly had stuff that I was dealing with mentally based on factors affecting my life at that point. So, in my experience as well, in wanting to seek support for my mental health, it was difficult finding services that I felt comfortable with and I felt could actually would be able to help me in a holistic way. So alhamdulillah, since then, one of the things that has contributed to my improved mental health and well-being has been being able to access mental health services, resources that I felt comfortable with and reflected my values as a Muslim, and also understood my cultural background as well. And so, inshallah, I want to be able to support Muslim Youth Helpline and the amazing work that they do to help young Muslims to improve their mental health and well-being. So, if you'd like to join me in supporting Muslim Youth Helpline, I have added the link to the episode description. So if you head there, you can access the fundraiser via the Give Match link. And through there, you can donate. And also, if you can please share the link as well in your circles to help spread the word, so that more people can contribute as well, inshallah. Even if it's donating £1, no contribution is too small. Everything adds up altogether to result in a much bigger impact than we can expect, inshallah. And yeah, that brings us to the end of today's episode. So, thank you everyone for joining me and for listening. And also, thank you everyone for supporting the podcast so far as well. And inshallah, here's to many, many more episodes in future and lots of exciting things to come. I pray that Allah accepts all of our fasts from us and accepts all of our good deeds and forgives us all and grants everyone Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. And that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to follow, like, share, download, subscribe, and rate the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred streaming platform. And you can also find us on LinkedIn and Instagram at Sister Station Podcast. And you can also find me, your host, Mu'mina, on LinkedIn and Instagram at Mina's Musings. And finally, thanks again for tuning into this episode. I hope that you come back for more. But until then, Assalamu alaikum and bye.